Men often wonder why a woman only seems to realize their value once they've left. The truth is, emotional absence speaks louder than words, and sometimes it takes losing something to truly appreciate what was there. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about human nature. In this deep dive, we'll uncover why women often don't recognize a man's worth until he's no longer present, the psychology behind loss and regret, and how you can shift the dynamic in your favor. Whether you're looking for closure, insight, or a way to turn the tables, this discussion will open your eyes to the reality of relationships and emotional bonds. 1. The comfort of your presence. Women often don't recognize the value of what they have until it's gone. It's human nature when something is always present. We take it for granted, and that's exactly how she sees you. When you're in her life, you're offering attention, emotional support, and always available when she needs you. She enjoys your presence, but the issue is, she gets used to it. She assumes it's permanent. This is where things start to shift. She doesn't necessarily stop liking you, but she loses the urgency to appreciate you in her mind. No matter what happens, you'll always be there. Once she reaches that level of comfort, she begins to test you. She might pull back a little, not because she's lost interest, but because subconsciously she wants to see if you'll chase her. And when you do, the power dynamic shifts. She knows you're hooked, and suddenly your value in her eyes begins to diminish. But when you pull away, everything changes. The silence you create forces her to face a reality. She never expected that you weren't a permanent fixture in her life, but a choice. And now that choice is no longer hers to make. For the first time, she has to confront the possibility of losing you for two. The emotional void hits. Harder than expected. Good too. The emotional void hits harder than expected when you walk away. She might not react immediately. Some women might even pretend they don't care at first, but make no mistake, she feels the shift. At first, she fills the silence with distractions, scrolling through social media, hanging out with friends, immersing herself in work. She may even fake happiness online, posting pictures and pretending like she's unaffected. But here's where it gets interesting. Nothing truly replaces the feeling of knowing you were once there, and now you're not. Men and women handle loss differently. Men tend to process it logically, analyzing what went wrong, what they could have done differently. Women, however, process it emotionally. First, they feel the void before they understand it. At first, she may not even realize she's missing you, but it creeps in slowly. A song plays that reminds her of you. She walks past a place where you shared memories. She scrolls through her phone and stumbles on old messages, and suddenly the thought crosses her mind. Did I make a mistake? The security she once felt with you is gone, replaced by doubt, regret, and curiosity. She begins to question her decisions, and that's a dangerous place for her to be, because now she realizes she had something good with you, and she let it slip away. When she realizes you've three. When she realizes you've moved on, here's the moment that shifts everything. When she realizes you're not waiting for her, she expected you to reach out. She thought you'd chase her, try to win her back, but instead, you did the opposite. You stayed silent, you stopped engaging, you didn't seek closure, you simply moved on. At first, she convinces herself that you're just playing a game, testing her, and that eventually you'll come back. But as time passes, she notices something. You're not checking in on her, you're not liking her posts, you're not reacting to her stories, you're simply gone. That's when it hits her. She starts to wonder, did I misjudge him? Was he actually a better man than I thought? Is he moving on with someone else? Those thoughts send her into an emotional spiral, forcing her to see your value only after she's lost you. It's in that moment that regret turns into obsession for. The fear of being the fear of being replaced nothing, shakes a woman more than the thought that you've moved on and found someone better. Why? Because now she's not just losing you, she's losing her sense of importance. At first, she might have been fine with the distance. Maybe she even convinced herself that you were still thinking about her. But then something happens. Maybe she hears from mutual friends that you're doing well without her. Maybe she sees a picture of you laughing with another woman, or maybe she simply realizes that you've stopped caring entirely, and suddenly the tables turn. She begins checking your social media. She replays old conversations in her mind. She starts thinking about all the times you were there for her. And now you're not. The fear of being replaced isn't just about jealousy, it's about ego. She wants to know she still holds power over you. So what does she do? She starts trying to get your attention random, like on your posts, a message out of nowhere, a half-hearted attempt to catch up. And that's where you face the ultimate decision to re-engage or to keep moving. 5. The power of indifference. Forward. 5. The power of indifference. This is the most powerful position you can be in, because by the time she realizes your worth, you've already discovered something bigger. You never needed her to validate your value. You never needed her attention to feel complete. And you definitely don't need to go back when you reach this point. Your mindset shifts. You're no longer concerned with whether she's thinking about you. You're too busy living your life, and ironically, that's when she wants you the most. Because deep down, she knows she had something good with you, and she let it slip away. Now she has to live with that. 6. The silent shock. Choice. 6. The silent shock when reality hits her. At first, she convinces herself that your silence is just temporary. She tells herself, he's probably just busy, he'll come back. But then days turn into weeks, and your absence becomes undeniable. This is the silent shock, the moment she realizes that you're not just stepping back, you're truly gone. She begins replaying the last conversations you had. She wonders if she made the right decision. Did she push you away without realizing it? Did she take you for granted? At first she tries to distract herself. She surrounds herself with friends, engages in meaningless conversations, maybe even tries dating someone new. But something feels off no matter what she does. There's a void that wasn't there before. And that's when it hits her. It wasn't just you who left. It was the version of herself she was when she was with you. Now she's left sitting with an emotion she can't shake. Regret. Her usual coping mechanisms don't seem to work. Other men don't provide the same sense of security and connection. You did. The conversations feel forced and no one understands her the way you did. She tells herself she made the right choice, but deep down, a small voice whispers, "What if I was wrong?" That doubt creeps in, growing stronger with every day she doesn't hear from you. Every time she expects a text from you, it never comes. The weight of her realization adds to the sting. You were a constant in her life, and now all that's left is emptiness. 7. She starts watching you. 7. She starts watching you from a distance. From a distance, the moment she realizes you're not reaching out, curiosity takes over. She won't always make it obvious, but make no mistake, she's watching. At first, she resists the urge. She tells herself she doesn't need to check your social media, but as the silence stretches on, that need becomes overwhelming. She scrolls through her feed, trying to convince herself she's just casually checking. But deep down, she's looking for signs that you still care. Are you posting anything that hints you miss her? Are you still single? Or have you moved on? Are you becoming someone better? Someone she can no longer reach. The more she doesn't find what she's looking for, the more desperate she becomes. She starts analyzing everything, your posts, your pictures, even the people you interact with. And if she notices another woman in your life, that's when the panic sets in. Her mind races with thoughts she never expected to have. Did he upgrade? Does he even think about me anymore? What if he's found someone better? And because she's watching from the shadows, she can't do anything about it. She doesn't want to seem desperate. So instead she waits, hoping you'll notice her presence. But when you continue to stay silent, that's when things start to take a darker 8. The jealousy takes over. Turn 8, the jealousy takes over. Even if she ended things with you. Even if she was the one who pulled away, she never expected to feel jealous. She thought she could move on, effortless LLY. But now she's realizing something she never admitted to herself. She expected you to stay available. She never thought she would see you as someone she could actually lose. And that thought, it burns. She starts stalking your profile more frequently, her mind spiraling through endless what-ifs. Every time she sees something new about your life, her emotions shift from curiosity to full-blown frustration, and the worst part, she can't show it. She can't just text you and demand to know what's going on in your life. She can't ask if you've moved on because that would make her seem weak. So instead she plays games, she posts stories or updates designed to make you jealous. She suddenly starts liking old pictures of yours, hoping you'll take the bait. She might even send a random message just to see if she can still get a reaction from you. But the moment she realizes you're not taking the bait, that's when her emotions spiral even further. 9. The late night realization. The late night realization. At this stage, she might not even want to admit it to herself, but she feels it late at night when she's alone, when the distractions fade away. That's when the thoughts hit the hardest. She might try to fight it. She might try to convince herself that she's happy, that she's fine, that she doesn't care, but deep down, she knows the truth. The late night realization is when she finally faces her emotions head-on. She lies in bed, staring at the SE, thinking about all the moments she shared with you, the way you used to laugh together, the way you always understood her without needing to say a word. And the most painful thought of all, she can't just reach out like before her. Pride holds her back. She knows she's the one who let you go. She knows that if she reaches out, she risks rejection, but the silence is unbearable. So what does she do? She starts dropping hints late night. I miss you. Text a random reaction to an old story, a weak excuse to start a conversation, because at this point she just wants to know if you still care. And when she doesn't get the response she expected, that's when she truly feels the 10, when she wants you back, but it's too late. Lost 10 when she wants you back, but it's too late. By the time she fully realizes what she lost, you've already moved forward. This is where the ultimate shift happens. She might reach out. She might test the waters, sending a message or finding an excuse to reconnect. But the truth is, she's not reaching out because she truly wants to fix things. She's reaching out because she wants to know if she still has control, and when she realizes she doesn't, that's when the regret hits the hardest. Because by the time she understands your worth, you've already found something better. This is where you hold the ultimate power. You no longer seek her validation. You no longer feel the need to chase. You've built a life that doesn't revolve around her, and that's what drives her crazy at the end of the day. The only thing more powerful than making a woman miss you is realizing you don't need her to 11. She tries to fill the 11th. She tries to fill the void, but nothing works. Void, but nothing works when a woman realizes she's lost someone valuable. Her first instinct isn't always to face the pain, it's to fill the void. She doesn't want to sit in the discomfort of missing you, so she looks for distractions. She might start spending more time with friends, going out more often. She might dive into casual dating thinking it'll help her move on. She might throw herself into work hobbies or social media, hoping the noise will drown out the silence you left behind. But the problem, none of it works, because the void she's feeling isn't just about losing a person. It's about losing the comfort, connection, and security she had with you. No one else seems to make her laugh the way you did. conversations with new people feel forced, lacking the depth she had with you. Every attempt to move forward only reminds her of what she lost. And that's when frustration sets in. She doesn't understand why she can't just let go and feel fine, like she expected. She thought she could replace you, move on quickly, but here she is, still thinking about you. And that realization, it eats away at 12. The regret turns into obsession. Her 12, the regret, turns into obsession. At this stage, her emotions shift from simple regret to something deeper. Obsession. She's no longer just missing you in passing thoughts. She's actively thinking about you every single day. She starts replaying old memories in her mind, overanalyzing past moments. She starts romanticizing what you had, forgetting why things ended. She starts questioning if she made a mistake, if she let go of someone she'll never truly replace. And the worst part, she doesn't have control over this feeling. It creeps up when she least expects it. She could be out with friends, laughing, enjoying her night, and then suddenly a song plays that reminds her of you. She could be scrolling through her phone, and an old picture of YouTube pops up. She might even be on a date, and the guy across from her says something, and in that moment she wishes it was you sitting there instead. The more she tries to suppress these thoughts, the stronger they become. You are in her head now, and she doesn't know how to stop thinking about you. And when a woman starts obsessing over a man she thought she was over, she starts acting in ways even she doesn't. 13. She creates a reason to reconnect. Understand 13. She creates a reason to reconnect. At this point, she's craving a connection with you, but she's also struggling with her pride. She doesn't want to seem desperate. So what does she do? She creates a reason to reconnect. Maybe she suddenly remembers something she needs from you. Maybe she randomly texts you about a topic that doesn't even make sense. Maybe she likes an old post hoping it triggers you to reach out first. This is a test. She wants to see if you still care. She wants to see if she still has power over you. And if you respond quickly, if you entertain her small talk, if you act like she never left, she wins. But if you stay unbothered, if you keep your responses short, or don't respond at all, that's when her panic sets in. She now feels powerless, and the more she realizes you're no longer playing her game, the more desperate she becomes to regain. 14. The emotional breakdown when it truly hits her. Control. 14. The emotional breakdown when it truly hits her. This is rock bottom for her emotions. For weeks, maybe even months, she's been telling herself that she's fine, that she's moving on, that you'll come back eventually. But now, the reality is undeniable. You're actually gone. You're not chasing her. You're not waiting around. You're not checking in. And that's when the emotional breakdown happens. She might cry. She might feel overwhelming sadness that she doesn't even understand. She thought she had control over this, but now she feels powerless. This is the moment she fully grasps what she lost. Not just a person, but a presence, a connection, a sense of belonging, and the pain of knowing that she can't just get it back whenever she wants. That's the real heartbreak.